I love you as well. Forza Motorsport was shown at the Xbox Bethesda showcase a few days ago, and I didn't share too much in the way of feelings at the time. I wanted to take some reflection, watch the trailer in high quality, look at the release screenshots, start to get a feel for the game. I thought the presentation itself was rather underwhelming. For me, it wasn't what I was expecting and didn't really capture for me the flavour of Forza Motorsport. I've followed Forza Motorsport since its inception in 2004, and I've interviewed Dan Greenwalt and the Turn 10 team on multiple occasions. I know that Turn 10 are a highly capable development team, capable of incredibly impressive technical achievements, and they've made some stunning racing games over the years, but they've also gone in a direction since Forza Motorsport 4 that I wasn't necessarily keen on, and it didn't work for me in terms of a driving game or a driving model. We'd gone from something that used integrated online elements like never before, along with real focus on the physics, the tyre data with CalSpan, and just generally there was a flow and a detail that I remember discussing all of this with the developers, and the improvements from Forza 1 where things could have been better in Forza 2, getting back on track in Forza 3, and then Forza 4 really bringing those elements together before a step change to Forza 5. And this is for me where the handling changed. I remember testing Forza 5 for the first time and saying I need another go. I remember turning on and off traction control, and the wheels were spinning up in a way that didn't feel like, I felt like I had cold tyres. It just wasn't feeling right. I wasn't feeling the track. Something was very different. By the time I got to Forza Motorsport 7, everything was feeling more gimmicky to me. And I remember testing Forza 7 with a real racing driver. I remember seeing a real Le Mans driver testing Forza 7 as well, and couldn't feel the car. It was embarrassing to look at in a demonstration. For a game that was hosting an official Le Mans competition, to have the handling in a place that really wasn't working, it's not something you can just cover up. You're going to put a racing driver in there and they're going to try it, and they're just going to walk away and say, that's not what it's all about, that's not what I feel. So the rethink came in that they needed to produce a new step forward in Forza, and that's where we find ourselves now. We've got Forza Horizon, which is the fun, arcadey, wonderful, adventure, colourful game, and then we have Forza Motorsport, which is the more serious simulation, the feeling of being at a racetrack, the feeling of driving the cars, and all the elements that brings. A much more serious piece of technology in terms of the way they want to bring it as that piece between real life and video gaming, so that real racing drivers could play Forza Motorsport, they could learn from it and go on and do the real thing. So with all of that in mind, of where Forza Motorsport lies and where video game technology is moving on, where tyres and tyre flex, and where ambient track temperatures and all these elements that affect cars, brake temperatures, it's all in there now. It's all possible with the power of the new hardware, and no longer constrained by the Xbox One. What could the developers at Turn 10 do with their magic? When I look at what they achieved on the Xbox 360, what wonders could be achieved? And I looked at the trailer last year and thought, this is exciting. There's a bit of grit, there's particles, I'm excited by where this goes. A new beginning for Forza Motorsport, a reset of the graphics, a reset of the physics. This is the new Forza for the future. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is O, H to the OV. I used to move snowflakes by the OC. I guess even back then you can call me CEO of the ROC. Fresh out the frying pan into the fire. I be the music band's #1 supplier. Flying in a piece of paper bearing my name. Got the hottest chick in the game wearing my chain. That's right, not DOC, but similar to them letters. No one could do it better. You can blame Sean, but I ain't invent the game. I just rolled the dice trying to get some change. check, we some gone.
So I look at the trailer and I see some nice cars, nice car models. I'm not getting an idea on the physics. It's all moving too fast. I see Maple Valley. It looks a bit flat. We'll come back to that. I see some muscle cars. Okay, I've not got a chance to see the suspension. Some high-speed drifting movement. Again, I've no idea on what that means for the driving aspect. It could be Forza Horizon for all I know. A milk float overtaking a Formula One car. Some old F1 cars in the rain. We have time of day change. We have Laguna Seca with crashes, and we see some car damage there, some slow motion. Is that gravel? Is that gravel, or is that just, I don't know. We'll look at that again. And then we see just other car shots. They're trying to show some tyre flex maybe there or something. And that's a great shot of the car going around Laguna Seca, and it's just more action. Right, okay, so that's the Forza trailer. That trailer was the first thing that didn't really do much for me. I thought, I've got no idea on the physics. Nothing there looked like real motorsport or real cars. I remember seeing a presentation video for Assetto Corsa, not a presentation, a clip of Assetto Corsa, Fiat 500s racing round Monza. They were going over the curbs and it looked amazing. That was all you needed to see that the physics were coming along very nicely in Assetto Corsa, was the way the cars were moving. That's what we needed to see here. I think trials of cars going through chicanes and saying, my goodness me, that looks like real life. What did I expect to see from a Forza trailer? I guess I expected to see a driver getting into a car at Le Mans as Le Mans was taking place, going out on the track, see some real driving, looking like real life, so you could see the real life TV footage and the real life and the in-game footage, and say, my goodness me, those physics are looking bang on. I didn't get anything from that. We got an adventure field of a trailer there, and it told me nothing. Okay, so it looks like a Forza Motorsport game. That's fine. The technology is good. We go to the presentation with Dan, and and finding out what is in store in the main game. So we start off with a look at Maple Valley. We're seeing a river there. I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, that's a lovely river right there. Some nice animation, nice water effects. Why are we looking at a river? It's got a kind of a bloomy look to it. The trees look almost cartoony. We'll look at that again later. It doesn't feel real. This isn't unusual. I've seen a similar effect in Dirt Rally 2, and I mentioned it at the time. It has that sort of dreamy, bloomy look to it. It doesn't appeal to me. I much prefer real-life, vibrant lighting. But there was something else. I looked at it and thought, for some reason, it's not blowing my socks off. I don't know what it is, but none of it looks and feels real. Why are we looking at this? Well, I went away and had some reflection. I thought to myself, well, a lot of these presentations are not put together by developers. They're put together by PR and marketing. And the PR and marketing are probably thinking, hey, we've got this massively popular Forza Horizon that's basically taken over the Forza franchise. And we want to show people a beautiful environment first. It's giving it that Forza Horizon vibe. It doesn't give it the vibe of motorsport for me at all. So I was looking at it and thinking, okay, whatever. It's fair enough. Let's get stuck in. We're at Maple Valley. We all like Maple Valley. If you've played Forza, classic track. We've done hundreds of laps around here. It's a wonderful circuit. Good to see it included. I'm not seeing any detail on that tarmac. What's going on with that tarmac? It does look very plain. We're going downhill again. It's a bit misty, a bit bloomy in the distance. We go around that very tricky corner, threading the eye of the needle at the bottom of the hill there. Didn't seem too tricky through there, did it? Didn't seem too tricky. And I'm looking at the track surface and I'm thinking, there's marks on it, but they seem to be incoherent all over the place. They're not on the braking points. They're not where you look. We're sliding around corners and there's no tyre. There's no effects that really show the racing line and how it's worn there. We're going down on this track now and we're looking at what is a bulb. Look how flat that track is. That is flat. It doesn't look realistic to me. Why doesn't it look realistic? What am I thinking at this point? I'm thinking, where's the camber for a start? We're on a mountain track. That means a lot of rain will come down. It will run down the mountain. They'll need to have gullies and drains. A lot of racetracks in general always have some form of camber to them. It does look very flat to me at this point. Very unkept. We just passed a crowd of probably 5,000 people, and yet the track itself looks extremely unkept given the type of racing that goes on here. Lovely in terms of graphics, but it doesn't feel right to me in terms of what I'm actually watching. I don't know, it just isn't right. I'm going to rewind a bit and look at that bit downhill again, because I'm all about the feel of a circuit, why it's here, how it's been built. You've got to make something feel real to feel in the moment. This isn't like making a video game track from 15 years ago. This is something where when you're building cars that look like real life, the tracks, the environment, the weather, the lighting, it all needs to come together. I'm looking at the cars as they go downhill. There are bumps where the cars bottom out, hit the ground. There's no tarmac. There's no leaning on the tyres in terms of tyre marks on the tarmac. There's nothing there. No areas where cars have bottomed out. They've slid on the ground. No tyre marks. Nothing through the entire corner. As we proceed past the corner, there are some tyre marks that shoot off towards the crowd. Just very strange. It's almost like tyre marks here, tyre marks there, tyre marks everywhere. There's no rhythm to the look and feel of the circuit. Why it's here and what it's about. Why is there a massive crowd at this unkept track in the middle of the Rust Belt somewhere? I don't know. It just all feels very odd. It feels a bit flat, and I got absolutely nothing from this presentation. More about the environment and how amazing the environment was, and yet for some reason, though the trees and everything else looks good, the track itself just looking very flat and not having any real life to it. I mentioned this from Gran Turismo, and actually Gran Turismo in the final build did actually have a lot more tarmac detail than they had in the early build. So everything I say to you now could be changed in the final game. But it was something that just didn't feel right. And again, we're seeing cars cruising around, meaningless cruising. We're seeing cars of different speeds cruising around. It's utterly meaningless. They're just drones going round and round the course. We get no idea on performance, no idea on suspension, the way it's leaning, anything from any of those cars going round. We've got an LMP car being overtaken by a sports car. It's just pointless. It's like they're touring. Then we look at the scenery, and we're talking about real-time lighting and making everything look realistic, but it doesn't look realistic to me. It's that bloom effect that everything feels like it's almost a cartoon. It doesn't feel like a real event. I expected Forza Motorsport to simulate real-life events. If it's hot there, we'd have a heat haze. We'd have different. Where are the marshals? What is this track? Is it on TV? Is it not on TV? What's going on here at this motorsport event? All these elements. We've got a circus ground of 5,000 people, and yet the grass hasn't been cut and the course hasn't been maintained. It's just a very strange place. And you might be watching this saying, well, Alan's talking about these irrelevant things, but these are all parts of what I expect from motorsport. I want it to feel like a real racetrack. Racetracks can be quite bleak. You visit a lot of racetracks when there's no racing going on, and they are a bit run down, some of them. They're often freezing cold, not the best places to be. They get done up, of course, when you have your big racing events. We've got a nice plush pit building here, which is quite strange given how run down other parts are, but I do see this sometimes in US tracks. The engines themselves look absolutely stunning. Wonderful, wonderful modelling. And the modelling of the cars cannot be faulted. Turn 10 Studios do an absolutely incredible job with their cars. The textures, the various effects on the materials, the lighting, wonderful. The cars look a whole nother level. And it's just what I was expecting as we see a crash further up there as well. Bit of slow motion. Whether that's realistic or not, who knows. But you get bashes and marks on the cars. No actual bodywork coming off the car in terms of crumple and impact zones, anything like that. You'd think a car of that kind of impact would have flown to pieces, but it hasn't, so it's going to be minor levels of damage. You can see here marks all over the track, but no defined marks. We're looking at the ray tracing. Nice to have ray tracing. I wonder what has been sacrificed to achieve it. You can't tell me nothing because there's always memory being used for that process. Again, ray tracing is a marketing term that they want on the box. So again, sacrifice has been made to achieve that. For me, as a motorsport fan, it is utterly irrelevant at this stage. I would rather have maximum fidelity in terms of the track, the feeling, the look of it, as we go back to this irrelevant river. Again, wonderful graphics, wonderful look. And if we were playing Forza Horizon right now, I'd be saying, lovely, I want to drive through that with a 4x4. I'm never going to drive through it. I'm never going to interact with it. I don't even know if I'm ever going to see it from this camera viewpoint, but it is wonderful water effects, and I think they've done a really nice job with that. So what was I expecting when I looked at this demo? I don't know. I was expecting to go to real racetracks that had a real feel and see real racing with real physics focused on motorsport. Instead, I kind of feel this malaise of graphics that look a little bit cartoony at times. We're looking at, when I'm looking at that scene of Maple Valley and that crash, I'm looking at the mountain and saying, oh, do you know, it just doesn't look real. It doesn't feel real. There's that sort of misty look to it, and it just doesn't work for me in terms of a real environment. Nothing there looks real in that screenshot. Even the lack of catchment fencing and stuff, you've got to make something feel like it's in a real environment. I wanted to see Sebring and see the way the cars were reacting over the bumps, and see the way drivers were getting those tyres up to temperature, and seeing how the rubber was left on the tarmac and the various elements of the new simulation. I ended up walking away with it thinking, well, it looks like Forza Motorsport 8 rather than a whole new envisioning of the game. Yes, steps have been made and lots of little polished bits here and there, but I walked away learning nothing other than we've just talked about environments. That's all we've talked about, because there's not really anything to get from the physics. From a Forza Motorsport game, I'm walking away with nothing after a demonstration. And it didn't hit the mark, and I don't know what they were aiming for with this presentation, but for me as a motorsport fan, it didn't grab me at all. When I look at the screenshots that have been released afterwards, the screenshots are stunning. There is some wonderful effects in terms of the lighting on again, materials like we've seen earlier. The Mazda 787B looking mightily impressive. And for photo modes, it's going to look stunning. The car in the pits with the various lighting, the ray tracing, stuff like that. But there is something about the tracks looking quite flat, and the way they've been put together. Some elements just aren't sitting right with me. For me, that's it really for now. I have no judgment. The game could be the best racing game there's ever been. It could have amazing handling. I couldn't tell you. Didn't do anything for me at all. I await a proper demonstration of Forza Motorsport where we can see people playing it, we can see racing drivers getting on it and showing how all the elements work, and showing the steps forward we all want in terms of the racing, the field, multi-class racing, and all the other elements that we know Turn 10 are capable of. Turn 10 are capable of making great racing games. They have an opportunity right now with the power of Xbox Series X to make probably the best racing game that we've ever seen, but this presentation wasn't for me. So that's it really. I look forward to future presentations, and look forward to your feedback in the comments. No doubt there will be some Forza fans who will attack me over discussing the environments and what appears to be small things in the environments, but this is all part of the mentality of what goes into producing something that makes it look and feel real. And that's what we want to do with these environments. We really want the cars to look amazing. We want the tracks to look amazing. We want the racing to feel authentic. And that is all those elements coming together from the ground up. And so I'm not here to criticize Forza Motorsport or Turn 10, but I am going to raise issues when I see them. And for those watching who may not consider any of what I've said to be issues, well, that's good as well, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And that's it really for me. I've had said a few words on Forza Motorsport. I look forward to future updates, and when I get the opportunity to play it, I'll give you the personal opinion in terms of my observations as I find them in terms of the handling and where they've gone with it. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon. Hello viewers, well thanks for watching the video today. Do like and subscribe, it supports what we do. Do become a YouTube member. YouTube Patreon supports all of our content you see on the channel, and of course lots of gaming from retro to modern games. I love it all in terms of racing action. So click on one of the two videos just there to find out more.